Okay, so this is the end of the game. I'm just going to do a bit of a debrief. Um, it turned into a rout basically at the end. In terms of victory tokens, the Axis earned one really early in the game. They got North Africa with a big push early um, by the Italians and the Germans. Actually, mainly the Italians. And that was the only token they managed to get. Whereas the Allies basically retook all the Africa stuff and took everything in Africa. They were pretty proactive early and got all of the easy pro-allied powers, and then started focusing on getting some of the harder ones like Greece and Yugoslavia and places like that. And of course, they get the attrition one. I mean, they sort of start with a 1-0 lead because at the end, if it's tied, they're going to have the advantage anyway. And then, of course, very late in the game, with the very last turn, the Americans rolled into Rome rather easily. Actually, I was quite surprised how quickly that battle went. So I wanted to do a bit of a debrief on basically sort of the state of the board and what went right and what went wrong. I think basically I played poorly, I think, on both sides, but I kind of squandered some early opportunities with the Axis. Um, I wasn't aggressive enough against the British Navy, I think, in the first turn as Germany. I left them a bit too much stuff, and that ended up being a bit of a pain. Some of the stuff that the Brits have, they've had since the beginning of the game. This battleship here is from the beginning of the game, for example. So that was a mistake. Also, just couldn't get anything going in Russia. I think I may have attacked Moscow too early without sort of getting as much forces there as I could. Because I think had I taken Moscow, I think we probably would have been able to get, well, certainly that chip, but maybe the seven cities in Europe chip, perhaps, because we could have gone after Stalingrad and um, worked on that a little bit. Where I think it went the most wrong was obviously in Asia. Japan, had some early gains, but I think the big mistake they made was bringing the States into the war. I mean, it was just too tempting not to knock out all of that Navy that was over here. And I think that's maybe a temptation that they need to resist, because I think they need to stay out of the war. Or they need to keep America out of the war as long as they can. They kind of got stalled in China. They really couldn't get anything going because they were always playing catch up. Obviously, the Russian issue was a bit of a problem as well, because they kept coming down and doing. I mean, they're almost gone now, but it doesn't matter because the game's over, right? So, I mean, they did what they needed to do by being a major distraction for the Japanese and eating into their income quite a bit. I am kind of happy that they managed to hold out at the end there after some sort of furious counter punches. I mean, what's interesting is Japan, towards the end of the game, was actually playing fairly well defensively, but that's a screw up on my part, because with the Allies, I didn't protect the transports as much as I should have. I was sort of scrambling a bit because I was trying to maybe get that island token, and I came one short. It was just Formosa. That was it. But I got all of the other islands. So I think maybe a more concerted effort on the Allies' part to do that could have been another token. But again, I mean, it turns out they didn't need it. That is a very doable token if you're careful and if you keep your boats safe. And that was not something that I did. I just basically sort of threw them away and sacrificed them. I mean, look at how many American and British units are on islands but can't get off because the boat is gone, right? So that was a mistake, I think. So again, I mean, I think I learned a lot from this. I have heard tell that this combined UK Pacific thing is is a bit of an advantage for the Allies. It really does. It really can bugger over Japan because, you know, you can spend the money fairly equally between Sydney and Calcutta and really give the Japanese a hard time. And really put some scary navy in the water in places where it can do a fair bit of damage, and also, I mean, you know, do some stuff on the mainland that can really butter up the Japanese. Now, it is kind of interesting that you cannot use the UK Pacific and the UK Europe pieces together. That kind of becomes a bit unusual with especially the combined stuff I was trying to do here, that I had to remember, okay, this piece, for example, that's Far East Command, right? These guys here are Far East Command, and I can't put them on my UK Atlantic boats, right? My UK Europe boats, right? Well, I could, but I mean, it'd take more turns to do that. So it was, you know, it was kind of, it was a learning experience, I think. It was an interesting variation on the game. I like it. I think it's really fun. I think the turn order is really interesting because there's a lot of stuff I wanted to do I couldn't do because the turn order was a little reversed. You know, having the Americans go after the British, for example, buggers up some sort of classic can opener moves up here, like the British taking Denmark and then the Americans scooting in and trying to take Germany. Can't do that in the turn order now. I mean, unless you do it the other way around, but that's actually kind of hard because Germany's in the middle, right? So it's really not conducive to do that, right? So it was an interesting game. I enjoyed playing it, and I'll probably try another one sometime. It was pretty fun. It was pretty cool. So that's the end of YouTube Game 7. And yeah, I had a lot of fun with this. So signing off from the bar in Ontario, Canada. This is Sergeant Mercy. Have a good one. Bye-bye.